So this is officially day 2 of nap sleep training. We haven't got to the night time yet, but I've just put Shiloh down for her first nap in the morning, and I hate nap time. Just saying, even though I felt like I was ready to do the sleep training, I still find it hard knowing that I'm going to have to hear her cry. So I just put her down. She's been awake for an hour and a half nearly, and I was wrapping her up in a swaddle and she's smiling at me and like doesn't look like she's tired, so I'm a bit worried if I'm putting her down too early, but I'm doing the hour and a half because that's what I find she does best. Yesterday I put her down every hour and a half after she's been, like, that was her wake time. So I've just put a 10-minute timer on, and this is the countdown to see how long it takes for her to fall asleep. Now, yesterday, which I didn't do a vlog on, she went down I think in 8 minutes yesterday morning. She hasn't started crying yet, which is good. She did a little bit of a groan and a protest, but nothing major. Yeah, so I did my little routine. I swaddle her, I give her a cuddle, sometimes I'll sing a song, then I'll put her down, I kiss her on the cheek and I say, "This is nap time, have a good sleep, I'll see you soon," and then I walk out, and that's where she starts to realize, and then she usually will start to cry. But like I said, she hasn't started crying yet, and it is been nearly 4 minutes, but she's still awake. I can hear her, so we'll see how we go. So I just went in and checked on her, and it had been 5 minutes, and I heard her groan a little bit at 4 minutes, and then she went quiet. So I opened the door very quietly, and I just peeked my head in, and her eyes were closed. So yeah, this one only 5 minutes. It took for her to fall asleep with, I would say, no crying. There was a bit of a whimper. So yeah, this was a good one. I'm sure they're not all going to be like this, so we'll see how long she stays asleep for. That's the next thing, is she's been not making it into her second sleep cycle, so she'll do 45 minutes and then she'll wake up. Usually in the morning she will make it to the second sleep cycle, and I'm finding the other naps she's not, so we'll see how we go for this morning nap. So I'd like her to do an hour and a half, but if she makes 45 minutes, she makes 45 minutes, so we'll see. So she woke up right around her first sleep cycle had finished. So she woke up at 50 minutes, I heard her crying, and I was like, oh no, because yesterday morning she slept through for an hour and a half. So I put a 10-minute timer on, and I was going to wait it out, because yesterday I didn't wait it out. I just went in there after I think 2 or 3 minutes of her crying. So I was like, no, I'm not going to go in there until the 10 minutes is up. So she cried, and it sounded like her cries were getting stronger, and then she fell asleep again, and after 9 minutes of crying. So I was like, yes. And so yeah, she went to another sleep. Unfortunately, about 10 minutes later, she woke up again because our garbage truck had come, and I think that woke her up. So at this point I'm like, I'm just going to get her up and feed her, continue our day, and we'll see how the next nap goes. So we'll see. So this is nap 2, day 2 of sleep training. So she's been awake. I just put Charlotte down for her second nap of the day, and she'd been awake for an hour and a half, roundabout, just a little bit before I started getting her ready for her second nap. So I changed her nappy. I undressed her from her clothes that she was wearing and put her in a swaddle. Then I held her and put her in a room. I closed the curtains, and I turned some white noise on, which I didn't do for her previous first nap today, because I'm trying to block out sounds that might wake her up, which was the garbage truck, I believe, the first time. So put a white noise on, held her, rocked her in my arms for just a little bit, just patted her and tried to get any burps out that she may have had. And then I sang her Jesus Loves Me, and then I put her down in her cot or her crib, and then I kissed her on the cheek and told her it was nap time and walked out of the room. So she made a little noise. You can hear my dog walking on our floorboards. So she made a little noise at first when I walked out. I set a 10-minute timer, and she grizzled a little bit. She cried a little bit, she didn't go into any strong crying. And within about 4 minutes, I heard her sort of go quiet. And then I was like, wow, that was really quick. And then a few minutes later, she made a few more noises, more crying, sort of light crying. So it was like staggered crying. She fell asleep in 8 to 9 minutes, I'd say. And with like staggered crying a little bit, but then, yeah, I opened the door and her eyes were shut and she fell asleep. So nap number 2, we'll see how she goes, if she sleeps an hour and a half or 45 minutes. We'll see, I don't know. She woke up from her second nap at 40 minutes, so she didn't even make it to 45 minutes. So I put the timer on for 10 minutes and waited for that time to be up before I go in. She cried the whole 10 minutes, and towards the end of it, she started to like slow down a little bit. So I was like, oh, I won't go in just yet. I stood at the door and I just kept a timer going, and the cries were getting softer, and so I just sort of stood there. But then she'd like start crying again more strongly, and then she'd come be soft again, and then I really thought she was going to go back to sleep, but then she just kept crying, and I made it to like 15 minutes or 15 and a half minutes, and she started to like cry stronger, and I was like, I'll just go in there and pick her up, give her a pat and see how we go. So I went in there, picked her up, shushed her on my shoulder, started rocking her because I kind of just wanted her to get more sleep. So I was like, should I have done that? I don't know. Should I have waited outside longer, maybe 20 minutes? Who knows? So I held her in my arms and sort of rocked her in my arms for a while, and I could tell she was going to sleep. So then I put her back down in her crib and walked out of the room, and literally within 2 minutes she was crying again. So I didn't do another 10 minutes of crying. I just decided to finish this sleep nap and then feed her, and so that's what I did. I fed her, and then we started a new sleep, sleep, wake, feed cycle. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Like it's always questioning what you're doing, if it's right or not. This is what I can handle today. I've had not much sleep for the past few nights because of her nighttime sleep, which I'll make another video about that. But yeah, check in with you for nap 3. So this is nap 3, day 2. So nap 3, I just put her down. She's been up for an hour and a half, and that included the crying that she did from her second nap, because I considered, when she woke up from her other nap, that's when she started her wake time. So yeah, put her down, put the white noise on, swaddled her, sang her a song, put her in a cot, kissed her cheek, and then walked out. Set a timer for 10 minutes, and literally she only whimpered a few times and she was just silent, and I was like, oh, that was really quick. So I just like opened the door and peeked in, and she was just awake still, but just looking around, not crying. So I was like, wow, this is interesting. So that was like around like 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and then I just shut the door and I just waited, and she made a few whimpers, like maybe 3 or 4 in the 10 minutes, and then it was like 9 minutes or something, and I opened the door again and her eyes were shut. So that went really well. So I'll take that win, and we'll see if she makes it through her first sleep cycle into her second one. But at this stage, she hasn't done that yet today. So yeah, we'll just take each day and each nap as we come. She woke up 45 minutes into her third nap. Surprise, surprise. And I put her on a timer for 10 minutes and I just let her cry it out, and she just cried and cried the whole 10 minutes. It was actually my grandfather's funeral at the same time, and I was zooming in to the service because I wasn't able to attend, sadly, because there's really bad floods and I couldn't actually drive there because all the roads were closed. So I was trying to watch the funeral and then her crying, and I just let her cry. And then once the 10 minutes is up, I was like, that's it, I'm just going to go into the room and hold her while I continue to watch the funeral, so I could actually not be so stressed out about her nap at that moment. So yeah, she didn't go back to sleep in my arms, she just sort of, yeah, just was wide awake. So I just end up feeding her and starting her wake time again. So yeah, we'll see how nap 4 goes, but so far no naps past 45 minutes today, sadly. Alright, so checking in for nap 4 of day 2, and just put her down. She'd been awake for 2 hours this time, and yeah, I don't know if this will make a difference, but we'll see. Put the timer on, did the routine, swaddle, sang a song, put her down, kissed her cheek. I forgot to put the white noise on, so I'm kicking myself for not putting it on, but I do have the fan on because it's really hot and humid. Well, it's not really hot, but it's very muggy and humid today. So hopefully the fan noise can buffer out other loud noises, because yeah. So yeah, put the timer on, and she was like wide awake when I put her down. Like she was trying to play with me just before, and I was like, oh, here we go. But anyway, walked out, and yeah, she did some fussing, very minimal, like hardly anything. She cried very lightly a few times, and she was asleep within 7 minutes. I went and checked. And there's a little creak in my door. I was trying not to make it creak. When I opened it, it was fine, but when I was shutting it, it made this tiny little noise. I do have the monitor in her room, which I could have turned on, but it's hard, it's too far away from her cot to see like if she's awake or not. So I just wanted to see for myself, but I think the little creak just like tinily woke her up a little bit, but her eyes were still like shut, but they're kind of just opened it slightly. Yeah, so that was good 7 minutes, barely crying. We'll see how long she goes for. If it's another 45-minute nap, so be it. If she goes for longer, that would be amazing. But can't do anything about it really. Just see how we go. So I didn't finish logging yesterday's nap, so this is the next day, but she woke up from her 4th nap in the afternoon after 30 minutes, which was quite disappointing to me. I was hoping for an hour and a half, nice long nap, but she didn't make it into her second sleep cycle. She woke up in 30 minutes, didn't even make 45. So anyway, but the one thing that was really interesting about this time is that she didn't cry when she woke up. She made a noise, so I knew she was awake. She didn't cry. I had the monitor on, so I could see her. I'm pretty sure I could see her. And then she like just
lied there in her cot, which she's never done before, and just didn't cry, but she was just awake. And I was like, oh, okay. So I put the 10-minute timer on, like I usually do when she wakes up from her nap, to see if she'd go back. And she didn't cry for 10 minutes. She just was awake, like looking around. And so that 10-minute timer finished, and then I put another 10-minute timer on. And by the end of the second 10 minutes, it was like 20 minutes now, she started to cry and fuss. And I was like, I'm just going to get her up, feed her, and go on with the day. Now, because her naps have been so short, like it threw my whole schedule, that her feeding times, all that out of the window. So usually like 4 naps is like what we do, but because there was so much left of the day to continue, I was going to put it down for a 5th nap. So I'll tell you about what the 5th nap was like. So when I put it down, let me just get my notes. Okay. So I've got my notes here. So she was awake for about an hour and a half again, maybe a tad longer, not that much longer though. And I had no confidence in this nap because all her naps had been 45 minutes or 30 minutes. So yeah, I put her down, and she cried for 10 minutes, and it wasn't very strong crying. It was crying, but it wasn't, they weren't strong cries, and it was kind of weak, sporadic, and then she fell asleep within 11 minutes. So that was good, wasn't that bad. And she slept for an hour and 30 minutes. So she went into her second sleep cycle. And I actually ended up waking her up to feed for our last feeding of the night, so she could have continued sleeping. But by this time it was like nearly 8:30 at night, and I wanted her to sleep the night. So I got her up, woke her up, and so I was really, really happy with at least 1 nap of the day, had 2 sleep cycles. She went into that deep sleep. And so that was the end of day 2. Now I'm going to share with you what's day 3.